Andrew, it's been a couple weeks since we've talked to you. So Tampa Bay and the New York Jets, two impressive wins, one on the road in Tampa Bay and one on a short week against the Jets. How is this team evolving? How impressed were you with those two victories?
Pretty impressed. I mean, I had written about a month ago, if they beat the Falcons and the Bucks, that puts them at 8-2. I'll call them legitimate Super Bowl contenders. And the thing that I liked most about that game wasn't you just went on the road and you beat a good team, blah, blah, blah. But when it came down to the clutch moments that are going to come up in the playoffs and probably against the Bills and maybe the Ravens later this season, they not only outplayed the Bucks, but I think outcoached them in a way where before the Bucks score in their last drive, you got a 3rd and 3 and a 4th and 3. The defensive calls and the disguise there force Baker Mayfield to hesitate and then obviously take a sack at the end. And so that stuff where it's not a top 5 defense, but there's enough there in the big moments that I trust them to do enough where obviously Drake Maye, who had a down game that day, is going to be the best part of your team and propel you forward. But can you do enough to support him? And so then when he plays clean, simple football against the Jets, it wasn't about the clutch moments, but can you have few penalties? They only had 2. Can you have 0 turnovers? They had 0. And just wait out a bad team. It's exactly what they did. So, yeah, really impressed the last couple of weeks.
Why are they so good against the run? Like, what are they doing that makes them so effective?
It's a good question because this is something that's carried over from Tennessee, as has the kind of it's not a bad pass defense, but it's a little disappointing if we're being honest, just the way the teams can consistently throw on them. Their allowed completion percentages north of 70 right now. And
against the Jets, there were opportunities there that weren't taken advantage of by the Jets.
Shout out A.D. Mitchell.
Right.
But so in Tennessee, they were always outstanding versus the run, and sometimes their personnel was better than others. But consistently, elite run defense, so-so pass defense. That's held up here. I think this is as much about just how they teach the defense, and it all sounds like cliches when we ask the guys after, oh, how'd you hold another runner to fewer than 50 yards? But the way that they swarm and how confident they are to get there and setting an edge, that once you have everyone kind of to the ball, as long as you're not allowing him to escape outside, you're going to be fine. And that's what they've done really well this year, not just with your Harold Landry's, but Marcus Jones has been a big piece of this because sometimes he's behind Callahan Chason, who teams have been picking on now for months and going in his direction and often getting good long runs. But behind him, that run support, they call them force players. You know, even sometimes it's Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis. They've been very physical. And that has been a staple of Mike Vrabel's defense, again, dating back to Tennessee. Physical, violent defense.
Should we worry about, we saw Tucker kind of get on track against the Patriots a couple weeks ago, and the Jets had some success, and now Milton Williams is out. Should we be worried moving forward?
The Milton Williams piece is the one that worries me the most, and Doug Kyde, my man at the Herald, was kind enough to split the film review this week. So he watched more of the defense versus the Jets. I studied it. I didn't write about it. But he wrote there was a clear drop-off once Milton left that game with their run defense. Now, the Jets only run the ball. So when they get more yards than average, they're running more than average in other teams. That I'm not worried about. But it's the depth, and this has been the concern with this roster where, you know, I thought they'd be 9-8. Obviously, I was wrong. They've been fantastic. But your margin for error is smaller in that when you miss a player like him, now the strength of your team, this thing you could bank on week to week to week, it's not gone, but there are cracks. And if Corey Durden or Joshua Farmer is not up to those early down plays that are forcing teams into 2nd and 8 and 3rd and 6 or longer, then this is a different ballgame. You can't play defense the way you've wanted to because you're missing a player like Milton Williams.
Okay. They're still allowing scoring on opening drives.
Yes.
And this is just a weird thing, especially when you look at how the defense reacts and behaves for the rest of the game. After watching the Tampa Bay game a couple of times and being at the Jets game, even though you couldn't be here with us last week. So now you've seen something on film twice and once in person. What's the explanation?
So the only commonality that I've seen with all these drives, and I think it's 8 out of 11 now, and most of those are touchdowns, the Patriots just saved their stupidest, most basic mistakes for that opening drive. Like the touchdown they gave up in Tampa was Marcus Jones, one of the most consistent and best players on defense by any metric or measure or just eye test, just looking in the wrong place and letting Igbuka just leak out behind him. Like everyone else is sound in that coverage except for Marcus Jones. Tennessee, Carlton Davis slips down. You get an explosive, and all these different things happen. So, you know, what I've been saying to this point, although it's continued, is that every team has a thing that their fan base complains about, and it's a problem, and you can't fix it, and you don't know why. This is the Patriots thing. That's not to excuse it, But there's just something about, even when they try to set the tone and they're aggressive. You remember that first play against New Orleans, right? They send a corner blitz, and then I think it was Olave or Rashid Shaheed goes down the field for 45 yards, and the Saints burn them there. Like, they've tried different plans initially, and none of them are hitting because if you're just missing tackles, you get your eyes in the wrong place, it doesn't matter what defense you're playing. And that's what they've been doing. It's just kind of screwing up on the first drive and then being pretty solid the rest of the way.
All right, when you look now and you're looking at the rest of the season, couple would be easy games, especially with Jamar Chase. Another lucky stroke. He most likely won't be playing against the Patriots on Sunday. I mean, that's a good offense, but that defense and their defensive end most likely is not going to be playing in that game.
The appeal process, I'm sorry to interrupt, but how long does that take, Andrew?
It should be done within the week.
Yeah,
Okay.
48 hours, 24 to 48 hours. I think I read that it might take. So it seems like he won't be playing in that game. Then there's the bye, and then they have a couple tough games. When you look at the AFC as a whole, do you think the Patriots are the best team in the AFC right now?
No.
Okay.
I think it's close, but no.
Okay, so the Bills are interesting, and I think I heard a national guy. Oh, no, it was the Iron Eagle. We had him on. And Iron Eagle likes Buffalo. And the reason that he likes Buffalo is despite their deficiencies, it's the Josh Allen factor. In a playoff situation, Drake May's great. MVP, very well could win the MVP. Is Josh Allen like a different animal in the playoffs? Like, can May take over a game like Allen did on Sunday?
May can take over a regular season game like Allen did, of course. In the playoffs, nobody knows because we haven't seen it. Like, if you asked us about Josh Allen.
Right, but is that like a factor? Like, say you have Buffalo at home, and because, the playoffs are different. Do you lean on a guy with experience like Josh Allen over a guy like Drake May? Does that scare you, or do you go, the more complete team, defense and offense, is the Patriots? Does the complete team win, or does the quarterback who's done it before win?
Because Josh Allen was just named MVP, I lean with the quarterback here. This is not, pick your top 10. This is not, even Dak Prescott's been really good, but this isn't like, oh, he's more experienced, I'll take him over Drake May. No, Drake May's been as good as any quarterback in the league.
Right.
The thing with Josh Allen is it's always two plays that you have to defend with him. There's the initial play, which is often well designed, okay, and then there's the extended play. And sometimes he'll get himself into trouble. Other times he'll have 6 touchdowns against a really good defense like he did in Tampa Bay. So I'm going to take Josh Allen in that scenario. I don't think that's by any means an offense to Drake May, who might be an MVP at the end of this season. But to me, that is the tiebreaker because I think the talent is similar. Buffalo has clear issues. The thing I would think about going into the playoffs are 3 things. Number 1, who gets that number 1 seed? It's not just being at home, but you just skip the wild card round, so there's no chance you can lose. Number 2, who has the best quarterback? Drake May's in that conversation. But then what's the best unit on the field? To me right now, in the entire AFC, that would be the Broncos defense. And I don't think that matters as much as Josh Allen, but if I pick Josh Allen as the best quarterback and the Broncos defense is the best unit of all these playoff teams, we just excluded the Patriots in a conversation. So you might be well balanced, but it's just hard to bet on them right now over those 2 things.
Because, we were talking about this yesterday, and John's smiling over there about, I know what you're going to say, John. Don't even.
Not going to say
I haven't heard it.
Not going to say a word.
Well, you scoffed when I had brought up the Broncos weeks ago.
I did?
Yes, I said you wouldn't want to play the Broncos in the playoffs, and you scoffed.
Well, they had just beaten the Jets by, I think, 13-11 in London.
That was overseas. And the defense was very dominant.
That was on Mars. It wasn't even the right atmosphere.
You take those
80% gravity.
You take those international games as like a litmus of how good a team is.
So when that happened, week 6 or 7, and we have only 6 or 7 games at that point, and one of them is a tiny win over the Jets, that weighed pretty heavily for me.
Well, it looks like you were wrong.
When it comes to Buffalo or it comes to Denver, we were talking about this yesterday. The Patriots don't have that one thing that's going to strike the fear in hearts of other teams.
Well, Drake May is that guy. That thing.
Yeah, but to the degree that Josh Allen is?
Right now, here's what's happened with.
Let me answer that for you. No.
I would argue you're wrong because of the way teams, for example, the Jets, okay? They play man coverage almost as much as anybody else in the league. It's not 1 or 2, but they're in the top 10. against the Patriots, they played zone, and sometimes it's quarters, which involves in demand, but setting that aside, 80% of the time. Because teams have gone from we can load the box against the Patriots and play man coverage across the board to we're going to play too high and we're going to have to play match coverage and mix everything up because we can't defend everything against the Patriots. And the reason is not because the running game's dominant or because we have a top 5 receiver on our hands, as good as Stephon Diggs has been. It's because Drake Maye can hurt us any which way that he wants. Over the top, scrambling, short passing game where he was something like 16 of 18 against the Jets.
But until they see it, until he throws for 3 and rushes for 3, no one's telling Josh Allen to get down right now and to save himself from tackles. And teams know that about Drake Maye. It's no slight to Drake Maye to say he's not as fearsome a weapon yet as Josh Allen is.
Yeah, I agree.
But
is that the bar, though? 6 touchdowns until Drake Maye does that?
No,
then he's not as serious?
My point was that there is not that one thing that I think every team would agree on. It's like, oh, man, I don't know how we're going to beat the Patriots because of X. They're a very well-rounded team right now. It's a compliment to the overall team structure of the Patriots as much as it is they're lacking that one identifiable trait that makes them so nasty and such a problem for a team in the playoffs, like Denver's defense, like Josh Allen is for Buffalo.
Yeah, Drake Maye's playing as well, if not a little bit better than Josh Allen right now, to the point about the playoffs being different. That's where there's a little bit of an unknown just because I've seen him do it. I've seen him go against the Bill Belichick defense, Josh Allen, and never punt and put up 47 points. And play games that should have had the Bills in the AFC Championship game were not for 13 seconds of their defense and special teams crapping the bed. So that guy's got some pelts on the wall. Drake Maye doesn't yet, even though he's playing as well. He is the thing that scares you most about the Patriots because, again, defensive coordinators now realize that this is a pick-your-poison proposition with him, okay? And, of course, we all know poison's bad. You can't. There's only limiting Drake Maye, and that comes into play with the we're going to play too high and we're going to do our best, and sometimes that's not good enough. We just have to count on him like the Jets did on missing some throws deep where he was 1 of 6.
It's just if I'm playing the Patriots, it's scary because I know I can't run against them. So my offense becomes conceivably one-dimensional. And then I can get pressure on the quarterback and he can elude it and throw it in the face of it. So that limits me defensively. And so and it's just interesting how this season has played out. Very strange that there doesn't seem to be a team that maybe is that way, right? Like I don't know if there's another team that's that way. Baltimore's defense has improved, but they're weak. Bill's defense is weak. Denver's got a great defense. Their quarterback doesn't come alive until the second half of the fourth quarter. The Chargers are very flawed, and Kansas City might not make the playoffs. So, and Jacksonville's a joke, and I'm not afraid of Indianapolis if I'm anyone. So it is surprising with the talent on the Patriots before the season on paper that I could make an argument that that's the team that's the most well-rounded. Because I think everything I just said is fair. Like, I don't go into that game planning on having a successful run game, even though you've made the point that maybe that's depleted a little bit.
Not if Milton Williams is out.
Yeah, but just Reese was saying yesterday that over the last couple games he's seen it open up a little bit. But let's just go in with that thinking, and then Christian Gonzalez is on one side, so that's very difficult. So maybe one side of the field I'm not going to have a lot of success on throwing the ball, and then offensively, like I can blitz Maye and he can stand in the face of it and either throw downfield while getting hit, or he can extend plays. That's frightening. I mean, that's a very tough team to play against. Now, if they have to go on the road, by some miracle, they have to go to Buffalo in the playoffs on the road, probably I don't like them in that game. If they have to go to Denver on the road, maybe I don't like them in that game. I certainly think it's kind of a push, but maybe they lose that game. But anyone at home, I mean, I'd hate to say it, but I don't know. I mean, who's favored at New England? In your mind, I mean, I don't know.
The interesting part is they've been worse at home than they've been on the road.
You know what I'm saying?
I do. But I think the best thing you said was it's a push, and whether it's the Broncos or honestly, I would put the Colts in there. They passed every test, in terms of how they played their best opponents and the deeper metrics. And just really quickly, like I do think the run defense, is going to crack a little bit. Teams also know they can dink and dunk, and that's where this playoff game, I think, when we get there, is going to come down to. the Patriots are probably going to be forced to dink and dunk themselves. If Drake Maye can stay patient and accurate enough, and he's been insanely accurate, they'll be fine. But defensively, they're going to need to force more tackles for losses and sacks, and that hasn't been there
Turnovers
as well.
would be good as well, something they haven't done in the last few weeks.
Because teams will, if they can do it, will want to do that to keep Drake Maye off the field, and that's, I think, the battleground that's going to decide them whenever they do get to the playoffs. Who can play the steadiest and most consistent? Because it's going to be a chunk-by-chunk game.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.